How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the No Ball Dynasty podcast. Today I'm joined by Bentley and Sam back again. I think it's been at least one pod since we weren't here, maybe two, all three of us. And we're going to go over some trade reviews that happened in our league. Hopefully, give people some ideas of kind of how these trades happened and how people certain players and if they would do that trade themselves in the same situation. And there's no better place to do it than in your own league because you have a lot more info than you do outside of a vacuum trade you see online. Sam, how you doing? Welcome back.
I'm good. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Sam made these lovely graphics you see up on the screen, so if you don't like them, don't put it in the comments because they're great. Bentley, how's it going? Welcome back again.
Yeah, I'm just peachy over here.
Thanks. I won't make any Duke comments. We just move right along. They're having a great season. All
Oh, come
right.
on, just be worried.
Yeah, probably. All right. Well, let's. How we're going to do it is we're going to do basically all the major trades that happened in our league so far this season. Our trade deadline is pretty late in comparison to most leagues. We have like another 2 weeks or so till the trade deadline, but we're going to go over starting with the first major trade that happened, which Bentley, go ahead and go to that one. The first major trade was actually between myself and Sam. I think the first trade in the league, actually ever, was between myself and Sam. It was me sending Devin Booker and Jarris Walker. Now, these are all players that came from the initial draft, so this is all original players to the teams. Me sending Devin Booker and Jarris Walker to Sam. Sam sending me Benedict Mathurin, Alex Sarr, a 2030 first round pick, and a 2026 first round pick. I will say we have 10 people in our league, so even a late first is a top 10 pick. Just for clarity's sake, I know some people play in like 30 team leagues, so a late first is like a third round pick for us. So since this was between myself and Sam, I will let Bentley give his third party opinion here. How do you feel about this trade? What did you think when you saw it? If you remember, we made this trade was made in November, so it's been quite a long time. And I will add, Alex Sarr had not really fully broken out yet in volume. It was very early on, and then obviously Devin Booker's the known quantity at this point for this trade.
Yeah, this was not a trade that I was super excited to see go through because there are two first-round picks involved here going to the same person. Some people value draft picks more highly than others, and that's okay. They are used in different ways, and there's nothing wrong with however you choose to use your first-round draft picks, so long as you are using them and not just kind of giving them away. And in this case, the cost for Devin Booker was two first-round picks and an Alex Sarr, like Ryan said, that had not really blossomed yet in the NBA. As a Wizards fan, I found it very unenjoyable to watch him play basketball. That has changed. Unfortunately, I still don't get to watch him play a lot of basketball because I refuse to pay for Monument Sports Network. So I watch them in very legal ways and not definitely streaming them on weird websites that might infect my computer with something. But I was a fan of this trade more so for Ryan because given the context of his team, he was not looking to win immediately. He's in somewhat of a building stage, and getting Sarr and two first round picks is awesome if you want to do that. Sam was looking to compete right now. She is still looking to compete right now. She's kind of turned the season around a little bit. She's back on the winning track here recently, and Devin Booker is certainly helping with that, right? He's a guy that is going to give you. He's going to fill up the stat sheet in a categories league. That's really what you want. He's a high scoring output player, obviously best player on the team that is looking to compete in the West. Not really something I thought I would say coming into the season, but they've really proved us all wrong with like their hard-nosed defensive first prowess there in Phoenix, and they are actually competing very well. So I thought that Ryan got the better end of the deal just given the way the two teams were constructed going in. I don't think I would have given up two first-round picks for Devin Booker, but that's just me. I value my picks differently than Sam does, and again, that's okay. That is okay. So it's a fine trade. I don't know that there's a. If I were to assign a winner and a loser, I would say that Ryan was the winner in this one. But yeah, that's just my opinion, right? Like, if Sam ends up winning a championship this year or next year or whatever, like with Devin Booker on the roster, then it works out for her and she gets the win, you know?
Yeah, do you want to talk about your philosophy in with draft picks because it was your first time playing Dynasty sports, period? What was kind of your opinion on draft picks?
Yeah, so I will say the only regret I have with this trade is I think I did it too early. I don't regret trading who I traded and the draft picks for Devin Booker because I do want to win now. And he scores a lot of points. He's one of the higher scorers in the league. But I'm learning that draft picks are leverage for other people because in order to make trades and compete when people are down, you do need things to offer. And those are draft picks. So that is the only thing I do regret. It was just a little too early. But I don't think I completely lost with it. I do agree with Bentley with, yeah, the draft picks, I think I just did it a little too early. I personally like the dynasty part of all of this with the draft picks. It gets hard because you got to be a little bit crafty. You have to figure out, it's a weird rhythm of trying to decide whether it's a now kind of game you're playing or a future kind of planning thing. You have to find that battle rhythm because there's certain teams in our league where you're just planning for the future. Like you have, no hope for winning now. So you're just planning, you're racking up your picks. And I think the two of you have planned it very, very well where you're that happy medium of you're growing, but you have really great teams of you're competing now. You're very crafty. You guys know the secrets. So that's just my thing. My philosophy is my philosophy. I want to compete now, but I'm understanding and I'm learning that draft picks are important. I'm still thinking of them the same way I am, where you can have them, but I still have to hold them close because they need to be able to give them away because they are worth something. They're just not worth something to me because I always want to compete now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the first championship is just as valuable as every other championship, right?
Yeah.
And I think you made the decision pretty early that you wanted to go for it. You looked at your team, you looked at everybody else's team, and you said, I wanted to go for it. And I think this was a trade that clearly showed that. What I will say is, yes, if you were to do this trade today, I think it would look worse because Sar did have such a good rest of the year. He's hurt right now, but has had a good rest of the year. And Benedict Mathurin now being traded to the Clippers, maybe there's some like reclamation type stuff there. But what I will say is, for the purpose of why you did this trade, Devin Booker has done what you wanted, and Jarris Walker looks to be
Yeah.
a huge contributor during the season that Indiana is not trying to win, and they want to see what they have in Jarris Walker. I don't expect Pascal to be playing very much the rest of the year. And Jarris Walker has incredibly positive expectations. I wrote about this in an article. If you look at the on-off when they play together, Jarris' stats go crazy when Pascal's not playing with him because they kind of play in the same and sometimes in the same parts of the floor. Pascal likes to be in the lane. Jarris has shot a lot of threes and stuff, but he's had to do that because of playing with Pascal. So I think Jarris is going to give you stats the rest of the season, basically. So yes, in the long term, the trade is probably a negative for you, but for what you wanted, I think it actually is a little bit of serendipity with Jarris Walker. I don't think you knew Jarris Walker would be like a huge,
Yeah.
but I think he's been pretty good the last 2 weeks
Yeah.
or so since Indiana's basically given up on the season.
Yeah.
There's like 5 teams that have given up on the season. Indiana's one of them.
Yeah. It's funny looking at this trade. Ryan knew exactly his audience with this one. Of I know exactly what I can get, and I know exactly what she wants. In this one is exactly how this one went. We talked a little bit and we negotiated. I was like, if you're gonna take Sarah, I need someone with who can get a couple more rebounds, and we did talk and had a little bit of discussion when it went through. He knew exactly what he could get and what I needed in return. So it's funny just like looking at it and discussing it now of how he crafted it up.
Yeah, and my thought process for the two first was her team. I expected her team to be at that point was a top 3 team was performing at a top 3 level. So I'm like, the 2026 pick at best is like the 7th pick. That was like my thought process.
Yeah.
I didn't
To
love the
be
7th pick.
fair, I think at this point I was the team that was like 5-0 still. So I was
Yeah, you were
already
in
like,
first.
I was on a high of I was feeling confident. So
Yeah,
I
you
was
were
like,
trying to
okay,
close
yeah,
the
let's
door.
spice it up. Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't disagree with that. That's why when I took the 2026, I was like, I'd rather have the 2030 just because I don't know what your team looks like, in 2030. Whereas I expected
Yeah.
you this year to be a playoff team. And though I really do like the top 10 players in this draft, it still is not a top 3 pick, right? Like, but that was kind of my thought process. So could you have given me 2 seconds? Like maybe, there's a lot of like ways that could have worked out, but again, Alex Sarr hadn't broken out yet, so maybe looks bad in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think it looks as bad as maybe people might think it is. So
Hmm.
I think it met a need for both of us, which is what you have to do to make trades. In case y'all didn't know, you can't just steal from other people. That's not how it works. I know that shocks Bentley, but that is how trades work. All right.
People
Anything else?
think that shocks me.
Anything else, Bentley, or you want to move on to the next one?
Let's not. Now, this was not part of the trade because it hadn't happened yet in the actual NBA, but Zubac is playing for Indiana next year, and Pascal will be starting again the entire season. So just remember that when you put Jarris Walker in your lineup.
Yeah, Jarris Walker, great this year. Rest of the season, next year, don't feel great. He's moving down the rankings next year. Wouldn't be shocked if he's not in Indiana next year. Like if he's a trade deadline move because he gets no minutes, that would not shock me as a reclamation project for someone else. But we'll see. Maybe he breaks out and he gets like 6-man type opportunities. All right, let's move on down to the next one. All right, this was a big trade. This was bigger than the trade we made. This was a big mover. So the trade you can see here, SGA, pretty good player, a 2027 first round draft pick and a 2026 first round draft pick, both owned by the person who sent the trade, M. Benner 23. Traded for Peyton Pritchard, Brandon Ingram, Jabari Smith Jr., and 3 first round picks, 2028, 2026, 2029. So what you see is basically they swapped 2026 first round picks. The player trading away SGA got 2028 and 2029, and then sent out 2027. So a net gain of 1 first round pick for the SGA send out, plus Peyton Pritchard, plus Brandon Ingram, plus Jabari Smith Jr. Now, what I will say, again, to clarify, we have huge rosters. We have 30-man rosters, and they basically all play. Pretty much everybody plays. We have we basically have no bench. So there is value in having a lot of like solid players. If you're too top heavy, you'll have like 8 people not doing anything. On in stats perspective. So there's some justification in some of these like depth trades. Sam, let's hear your opinion on this trade. I know you were involved a little bit with the discussion. They were.
Yeah, before this one went through, I just thought it was a crazy idea just because, this is my first fantasy league, but I never thought that people would actually even think about, like, trading, like, someone like SGA just because, he's a top player in the league. So I just, I thought you just hold on to, your SGAs, your Lucas, all of those because I didn't even think that you would even think about doing that. And then not only that, but then trading for your Peyton Pritchards and Brandon Ingrams because they're just kind of like, not that they're not good players, they're kind of like at your lower average kind of things. His thought process was more like, fine, put all those 3 players together, then those are your 30 points, right? 30 points per game altogether total. So I was like, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. But I just thought it was a crazy idea because you just don't typically, I don't know. That's a scary thought to me. And it was kind of like pretty ballsy, in my opinion. But that's where I started. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the no ball league, so lots of ballsy moves going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. What the other thing I'll add, the person who got SGA is a Thunder fan, and I have to add that as an element of the trade. Which I always say this: trading is not about the value. Trading is about the emotions that people get from the trades. And if you can make someone happy, the value is mostly irrelevant, right? So I think that was kind of the idea here, was to get somebody SGA, and they would kind of give up what they had to. Bentley, how do you feel about this when you saw it?
I was a little skeptical, similar to Sam, right? Like trading away a top 5 guy in SGA. Looking back at it now and knowing the build of both the teams, I think it made a lot of sense for Mike to do what he did. At that point, and I think still now, maybe less because of the depth he acquired, Mike's team was extremely injured, so he was just missing a ton of minutes from guys on his roster. And so what he did was he took one guy, and like Mike said, he made up for the 30 points, or what Sam said, he made up for the 30 points by getting 3 guys who are going to get you 30, and he added all of their other stats combined, and he got a first-round pick out of it. So short-term loss, long-term game, maybe. Brandon Ingram not averaging 5 assists. That probably means nothing to anybody but Ryan and I on here, but felt like a noted stat I should bring up. So he's going to lose out on the assists by having a Toronto Raptor on his team, but that's okay. I think Mike did pretty well here, and I don't think you can ever say somebody lost a trade when they add SGA to their roster, right? Like, that's just an instant uptick for whatever team he lands on. So this was a pretty, like, win-win going around here, I think, in my opinion. It didn't move my needle a whole lot outside of the fact that an MVP was traded, right? Like, this just looks like somebody adding depth because their roster is super injured, and he needed to make up the points because he wants to compete and win. And he got a first-round pick out of it. So I say it's a pretty good trade on both sides, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the big thing that is important here is the swap in 2026. I think that was the most interesting thing, because the person that got Shea had the worst team at the time and has continued to still be a worse team than Mike's team. So that swap could end up being a top 3 pick. Like, it is 4th right now, but 4th and 3rd are basically tied. So we could see a, DeBonsta, Boozer, Peterson potential for Mike, which I think really changes the calculus of this trade quite a bit, right? You don't really want to value something and be like, well, the team tanked enough, so I got 3rd. Like, that's probably not how you always want to look at it. But if you can make some projection and be like, even if I do this trade, I have a good chance of it, I think it adds value. You got back 3 top 100-ish players, right? Ingram being the best of them. The Pritchard and Smith are about in the 100 range. I have Brandon Ingram at 74, so a little bit higher than that. And I think Ingram's great for the end of the year, which again, Benner is trying to compete. So I do think it made sense. If it ends up being a top 3 pick, I think the trade ends up being pretty equal in the grand scheme of things. If it ends up 4th, it's still not bad. If it ends up like 5th, then it starts to drag quite a bit. And 5th is still not horrible, but there is a teardrop there, in my opinion. I would have liked a little bit more draft capital if I was giving away SGA. Maybe like some seconds, because we have such a shot. Like, we only have 10 teams, like I said before. So seconds are 11 through 20, right? Like, there's valuable players that you can get 20. So I would have liked to see that, especially this year where I think the draft is relatively deep. So getting like a 2026 second would have, I think, made it a little better for me. But honestly, I didn't like it at first, but the longer I look at it, it ends up not being that crazy to me. So, because again, our league, the rosters are huge. We have 30-man rosters, and you play basically everybody. So, all right. Anybody got anything else? Sam, you got anything else? Don't
No,
get
I think
SGA.
I probably still wouldn't do it, but I don't know. I think you guys make some good points when we break it down like that. I kind of like it, but I don't know. I don't think I can still do it. It's scary, but I kind of like it when you break it down like that, especially with all the injuries that he has. You get more stats that way, so.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I said to him. I said, do you have 3 players or 2 players you're going to drop that are not doing anything to add these 2 extra players you're getting? He was like, yeah, I basically have people who are basically out of the league at this point with injury. So it ended up being not too bad for him because he could play them right away. It wasn't like these guys sat on the bench. Like, they immediately contributed. So
Yeah.
maybe in a league where you only start like 10 people, it'd be a little different. But because we start so many, I think this trade has an interesting dynamic to it. All right.
Ryan,
Yeah,
how many assists a game for Brandon Ingram?
uh,
Again, completely off topic here. Just a random question. Not
Is it?
quite. Not quite. 3.8.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's just because the team is so good at passing shed. He's got like 4, I think, right?
Hold on, I just had it up, I can tell you. Let's see, let's filter by most assists. Quickly, Scotty, and Shed, the only ones averaging more than 4 assists. They're
Right.
all above 5.
Hey, what did I say? Did I say 4 of them would average 5?
I think you said 5 would average 5, didn't you?
Did I say that? That
I
sounds
think so.
crazy.
It may have been 4. They're
4,
both wrong.
yeah, but 4 is less wrong. It's not far off. 4 is not far off.
That's fair. That's fair.
It was like no one's gonna have a lot of assists. I mean, Scotty's like pretty solid, but no one's gonna blow it out of the water. And Brandon, he makes the right play sometimes. It's never
Sure.
like he doesn't make great passes. He's not gonna like blow you away, but he'll make the obvious ones and get some assists off that. So he's actually a better passer than people give him credit for. He's got like, I know I hate the KD comparison, but he passes like KD. KD would rather take the mid-range jumper, but if it's not in the cards, like he'll give it to the guy in the dunker spot, give him an easy, shot. That Ingram does the same stuff, kick outs, those types of things. So just to be specific, Bentley is making fun of me because I said Toronto would have. I think I at least said 4. It would
Yeah,
have
sounds
four,
right.
4 players on Toronto would average 5 assists this season, and again 3 have done it. So it's not insane. Brandon just needs to pick it up the rest of the year, and we're there. But I like Toronto quite a bit more than a lot of other people did. So all right, on to the next one. Okay, this was a trade I made, so I guess I'll go over why I did it. But first, it's a 3-team trade. That's really the reason I did it because people didn't want to get multiple teams involved because it's hard to get multiple people to agree to a trade. So I decided to put it out there. And as commissioner, I felt like it was my job to show people that you could. So that's kind of why I did this. But I still think it's an interesting trade. So 2026 first rounder going to me from Beer the Feared. Bear the Feared. Donovan Clingan going to G. Thomas Cole from me. Austin Reeves going to Bear the Feared from me. Asar Thompson going to Bear the Feared. A second and a third in 2028 and 2027 respectively from G. Thomas Cole going to the second going to me and the third going to Bear the Feared. So basically, I didn't think I could get Bear the Feared's first round pick just by giving him Austin Reeves, even though that's probably because his team was a bottom 3 team. That's probably about right, in my opinion. But I didn't think I could get it, so I gave up more than I probably should. I basically traded Donovan Clingan for a second round pick, which is not great value, but again, did this mostly to spark trades in the league. And I also was down on Clingan because all my centers don't play. I have a million like rookies that don't play. I have like Hansen and Baron J and those guys. So Clingan wasn't really giving me stats that was helping me win right away. So I was willing to take the risk that Bear the Feared ends up as a bottom 3 team. And right now, it's not looking like he will. He's going to probably end up with the 4th pick, and that's going to really hurt this trade for me. But, I hope he ends up 3rd so I can take kind of the remaining player there. Bentley, how do you feel about this trade? Obviously, again, take the grain of salt. I was trying to promote multi-team trading.
I've been reading it as Beer the Feared all year long, so like a twist on Fear the Beard.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong? I don't know.
Well, the word is bear,
I
Bear.
know.
I've never asked him.
But like if you put the F there, it'd be fear.
Yeah.
Because English is awesome like that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I understand why the trade was made. Similar to the one that you made with Sam, I did not love it because this now gives you a 3rd first round pick in this year's upcoming draft. And people will not trade with me for whatever reason, so I still just only have 1. We're going to have to work on that. So, again, understand why it was made. I see the value from all sides, right? It's not an earth-shattering deal. Like, I don't think this is a trade that is swinging championships with the players that are involved. Maybe Austin Reeves, if he gets like super hot down the stretch of the season, that always possibility, right? I know Sam loves him because he's a shooter, so that it checks out. I mostly hated it because they gave you a third first round pick. That's my criticism here, is that people were not paying enough attention to who's holding the picks in this league, and yeah, don't love that for myself. But again, the trade made sense. I thought it was cool to get the multi-team trade involved. Spread awareness for those less cognizant of what is happening within the dynasty. So it was cool. I thought it was interesting. Once again, not earth-shattering. It's not going to win or lose championships, I don't believe, this season. But the pick, it was good for you.
Yeah, I will say it provided me flexibility for sure in this year's draft. Like, even if I have 3 top 10 picks and none of them are top 3, it still gives me a lot of options, which definitely is a benefit. I didn't feel like I could win the championship this year, so I moved on from Austin Reeves. Not that he's ancient. He's 27, right? Yeah, about to be 28. He was my second oldest player at the time, so my team is very young. So I just thought it didn't fit the timeline. Klingon was the bad loss. Like, I didn't want to give up Klingon, but I needed to do it to make the trade happen. So, Sam, how did you feel about it as a noted Austin Reeves fan?
This trade made me laugh because like Bentley said, the draft picks that Ryan was collecting, I was noticing, and I wanted to be involved. I was also having FOMO and fear of missing out, but that is also because I, again, had nothing to offer. But I can't really say much about who gained what. I liked all the players involved. Like, obviously, I would prefer to get Austin Reeves probably the most. He is a shooter. I like Austin Reeves a lot. But Donovan Klingon, I would hate to have him leave my roster. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, this one was crafty and I was impressed by it. I don't know how, just having multiple different like teams involved in a trade is creative. So I was impressed. Watching Ryan collect all these draft picks was funny to watch. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is difficult. I have a 6-team trade that I tried to do, so 6 of the 10 people.
You're breaking up a little bit, Ryan.
Test.
Yeah, there he is.
I sound better now? Okay, guess I gotta stop opening up tabs. Yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Not that it's important, but let's just move on. We'll move on to the next one. We'll cut all that out. All right. Yep, on to the next one. We got this one and one more. Okay, this trade also had Donovan Klingon in it. So that's kind of why I think the trade before was even interesting, because it facilitated this trade. But we see Benner 23 sending Jalen Brunson, Brandon Miller, and a 2027 second round draft pick to G. Thomas Cole, who sent back James Harden, Donovan Klingon, and a 2027 first round draft pick. So what I will say is both of these teams are competing this year, trying to win it this year, aggressively trying to win it this year, I would say. Probably the 2 most aggressive teams on the trade market. And you'll see that in the next trade too. Both Benner and G. Thomas Cole really going for it, even more than Sam did. They've just been doing it later in the season than Sam did. Yeah, it was. This happened right after James Harden was traded to Cleveland. And Benner also had Darius Garland, so I think he was just kind of focused on Garland. Not that really, the trade didn't affect that too much, but he felt better about having Garland for most of the season. Yeah, Brunson, obviously a great player. Brandon Miller, great what he does. Still very young, could develop some other skills. And I think it was pretty solid. G. Thomas Cole got a lot older. His team is older, but it wasn't crazy. Brunson's not like a spring chicken. He's still, older for Dynasty, even though Harden is nearing the end of his career. Klingon, similar to Brandon Miller in age, so relatively comparable, but Thomas Cole getting a little bit older, trying to win a championship right now. He's got Giannis, he's got a bunch of other kind of win now type players. Jaylen Brown. But yeah, that's kind of his move there. Sam, what did you think about this trade?
So after this one went through, my thought process was, when Mike did this, I wanted to ask, are you insane? Because he just gave away SGA, and I thought, well, who are your shooters? Like, who's scoring? Who's making the big buckets on your roster now? Because now you're giving away Jalen Brunson.
Right.
But he still has, I think Steph Curry's on his team. I know Steph is injured, but so again, I think it was a spicy yet scary kind of move. I think the trade, tit for tat. I think it's even. I mean, I guess, but yeah, I just like looking at his roster. I just thought like he was making some spicy moves in my opinion. I don't know. I'm also very like more reserved with these. Like I move way more cautiously than most do because I get scared with these trades. But yeah, like with the ones that make the big numbers, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. This one made me nervous too because he just gave away SGA a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know. That's just me though.
Yeah, and as a Knicks fan, giving up Brunson
Yeah,
probably.
that too. And I was actually very upset at that. I was like, we could have had a talk. And he's like, you have no draft picks that I need. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go with the draft picks. Okay, I get it. I get it now. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. I actually said it wrong. James Harden going back to Mike, Jalen Brunson going to G. Thomas Cole. So I mistakenly said that. But
Yeah.
Bentley, how do you feel about it?
Well, Mike is now older. His roster is now older at like the quote-unquote elite positions, right? Steph Curry, James Harden, Anthony Davis is on his roster, but he viewed his roster as a compete now. You know, he does not control his first-round pick for the next 2 years, but he got James Harden out of it, and Klingon, who's obviously not old, but he was looking for a rebounder, so he got that in Klingon, and a rim protector too, somebody to pick up some stocks for him. I mean, I was a guy who's very high. I have a lot of Brandon Miller stock. Him coming out of Alabama. I watched him go into Colonial Life Arena and drop 40 on the Gamecocks when the entire arena was chanting murder at him. That guy is insane. He's not the greatest NBA player yet. He struggles in certain areas on the offensive end of the court, but he is immensely talented when it comes to scoring, and I still think he's developing his talents, and he will be perfectly fine going forward. I have no qualms about him as an NBA player, especially, for fantasy purposes here, he's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's going to get points and rebounds. So if you value that highly, then Brandon Miller's a good player to have. I don't know. Mike really wants to win. He wants to compete. So I think bringing in Harden, who's a guy who always, no matter where he is at any point in his career, he's produced at a high level, right? And Klingon helped him out with the rebounds, which he was looking for. So I think it was fine. I would have rather kept Brandon Miller on my roster, but that was the cost to get Harden. So I respect it. He went out and executed a trade that he thought was good for him. It probably would not have been what I would have done, but it's not my team.
Yeah, he did receive a first back, which is gave up a second, so basically moved up in the draft. Could be one spot hypothetically, but it it is a move up in the draft. So a little bit of value there. Did get quite a bit older with James Harden. And how many more years of James Harden are you going to get? He's 36 or 37 now. But yeah, I agree. He's trying to go for it now. Definitely one of the ultimate win now players. I think he overpaid a little bit, but Klingon helps out where he can. Not that Klingon can rebound, but his team can rebound with some younger players. But he is very old. He's got, like you said, James Harden. He's got Steph Curry. Got a couple young guys. Harrison Barnes is on the team. Not that he's a huge contributor statistically. Rudy Gobert, Brooke Lopez. He's got some elder statesmen on the team. So I respect identifying that you're in that situation and going for it. I think that's valuable. So, and he like I said, moved up in the draft. It's not horrible. I'd probably rather have Brunson than Harden. Let's verify. Where did I put Brunson at? Jalen Brunson is at 28 for me, and Harden is 59. So yeah, it's a 31 spot difference. And then Brandon Miller I have at 55. So basically, Brandon Miller and James Harden have roughly the same value to me in a vacuum. I've been Klingon at 85. I'm not sure the draft pick is worth the increase in value in a vacuum because it's like a 30-40 spot difference to me. But it's possible that he's trying to go more for an assist category than, and he really felt like he needed that, and that's why he went that route, assist and rebound specifically, which he has been okay at. It's an interesting strategy.
Also, like I said earlier, when it comes to Mike roster, he was missing a bunch of guys, and he was missing out on a lot of minutes each week. And James Harden is an Iron Man in the NBA. That guy plays every
Yep.
night, and he produces every single night. Like, so Mike is plugging in you know a set it and forget it kind of guy into his roster that he almost never has to even think about not showing up.
Yeah, better statistical profile right now than Brunson for sure. 22, 9, and 8 tonight. I mean, he's going to give you a little bit of everything still at this point. He'll make threes relatively efficient at the volume that he shoots at now. So yeah, I agree with you. If you sometimes you got to push the chips in and lose some value on the back end, and you just got to live with that and hope it works out. If he can win a championship in the next year or two, it's probably fine. If he doesn't, then it probably feels bad. Fundamentally, probably the result here. If Sam wins the next two and starts a dynasty, then he'll feel particularly bad. He didn't give her Jalen Brunson. All right, last trade. This is a big one as well. I'll try to accurately capture this one.
You're breaking up, Ryan.
Okay, can you hear me now? Test. I'll wait a second. Okay, thank you. All right. I will try to accurately capture this trade. It's Caleb Love, Colin Sexton, Aaron Gordon, Jaden Ivey, a first round pick, 2/3, and a fourth, mostly in 2020, first rounders in 2029, for Karl Anthony Towns and Keegan Murray. So a lot of stuff for KAT and Keegan Murray, basically. The best asset on the non-KAT side is Aaron Gordon, probably. Maybe Colin Sexton if you believe that he's going to get the time in Chicago, which I don't necessarily believe because there's 5,000 point guards there. I mean, Billy Donovan gets kind of funky with his rotations with guys. So same, and then Jaden Ivey, they kind of like run into each other, so that one's kind of weird to me. Aaron Gordon, not really great for a rebuilding team. Jay Clausen, the guy who traded away KAT, is rebuilding. So we're like trading away KAT makes sense. Would have preferred to get more draft capital. Thirds and fourths are fine, but KAT is a premium asset. I have Karl Anthony Towns at 32 on my rankings for categories, so especially with his shooting ability at the center position. Keegan Murray is a player too when he's healthy. If this was just for KAT, I still wouldn't like it, and then the Keegan Murray throw in is rough. I would have wanted another first and maybe another young player and not Aaron Gordon. That would be not that Aaron Gordon's bad, it's just the age if you're trying to rebuild. That was kind of my thought process. I'll go to our resident Knicks fan, Sam. I know you love KAT.
Love to know the thought process of just like who really like wanted to either get rid of Karl Anthony Towns or who really wanted to like get Karl Anthony Towns. Like I just like I don't know, like this is just like a lot of movements from like one end to like another. Like I get it, like Ryan, I know you ranked him 32. Like he's worth a lot, but I just like would like to know like the thought process behind it. Because you're removing a lot of like players and draft picks from your roster, so you have to think about the things that you're losing on a lot of different areas. So I just want to like know I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like, do you know, Ryan? Do you know like why?
Yes. So Jay Clausen, all he said was he wanted as many picks as possible. He didn't say what picks he wanted, just as many picks as possible because his team's not very good. That was basically his thought process. He did get a first out of it and a much future first, which G. Thomas Cole's team's relatively old, so that might be relatively valuable by then. He's got Giannis and those types of players who probably won't age super gracefully with the way he plays. Yeah, like I said, he just wanted a bunch of picks. He told me he didn't care about the players. It was just he had to get some players back just for matching rosters and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's just like, that's a lot of movements. I kind of wish it was just like spicier in my opinion. Like, oh, so many draft picks. I get it, but dang. I like Aaron Gordon though. I like that. I like Aaron Gordon a lot.
Yep. Yeah, Aaron Gordon's solid. I do think that's the best asset. Just it's the age thing. Like I would have loved to see like a 3-teamer here where you send Aaron Gordon somewhere else and try to get more capital.
Yeah, I think if this was like like you said, I think if this was like you separate into like maybe like add another team in here, I would have liked it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are opportunities here. Again, trying to promote the multi-team trades. There's ways you can address these issues in multi-team trades. So, but yeah, I think most people kind of feel that way, that this was a light for KAT, but I don't get in the way of these trades. If this is what they want, it's what they want. Bentley, how do you feel about it?
Well, the trade makes a lot of sense if you think about it from the lens. Jaden Ivey played his college ball at Purdue, and Joey's a big Purdue fan. So really, that's the only explanation you would have for ever trading away KAT for a haul like this. And I respect the shit out of that because, college basketball matters in the grand scheme of things, and not enough people talk about it. No, I don't, like Joey saying, I don't care about the players. I only want as many draft picks as I can get. And getting one first-round draft pick, this is not a trade that I would have done if I were a KAT owner. Yeah, you're gonna give me 2 firsts at least.
See.
You're the number one team in the league, and you're attempting to get better by adding KAT. It's gonna cost you like that. And it's not gonna cost you 2/3, a fourth, and a first pick 3 years from now. That's not how that's gonna work. If it's me, right? Now I respect what Joey is doing by trying to offload his, higher end players for draft picks. I just think that the execution of that plan was not carried out very well. Trading for 2 guys who play the same position on the same team is questionable, especially when you take into account that Josh Giddey is the de facto point guard in Chicago. Like he runs that offense, not really the guards, but whatever. I mean, it's a decision. So I guess kudos to Garrick for pulling this off, but my God, I'm not sure why Joey did this, if I'm being completely honest. Like this specific trade. I understand trading away KAT. I don't understand why he did it like this. And I probably would have tried to keep Keegan. Is Keegan 24? 23? I don't know how old Keegan is. He's young. 25. Okay, well, he's not super young. But,
it fits his timeline, though.
He's going to try to... Joey's going to try to win next year. Yeah. But, I don't know. It seemed the thought process was there. The execution, I don't think, was great on Joey's end.
Yeah, that's the interesting point I didn't think about. He has Jason Tatum coming back next year, so he could easily just kind of say this is a lost year and pivot the other way. But, I would have liked to see him trade Tatum in that situation if that was the case, if he's going to fully pivot off. And maybe he's not. Maybe he's going to make moves here in the future to get more aggressive. But, it's an unusual one, but I think if you shopped KAT around, you probably would have got more for him. If you said KAT was available, there's probably 5 teams that would have traded for him, because our league is very close in standings right now, where there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people with the same record, one with 1 game off, and the first place person has 2 games ahead. So all those people that are tied with each other, they probably would have considered trading for KAT if it made sense for them, probably 2 or 3 of them. So, but that's how the Luka trade happens. You just don't talk to anybody else, and you end up getting stuff like this. It's good to shop around your assets if they're available. That's what I say. But yeah, that's our last trade. We appreciate everybody listening. We'll probably do more of these in the future. We may even do like a season in review, not just trades, but kind of everything that happened in the season, because part of this podcast is to give analysis on random basketball and fantasy stuff, but also to track the history of the league ourselves. And hopefully people become invested. I don't know if I lost connection right there. Hopefully people become invested and care about it as much as we do. So we'll do more in the future. But I think for the next pod, just for everybody's awareness, we'll probably go over our 2026 draft big board. I published a top 10 big board. Your Cam Boozer, AJ DeBonsta, Darren Peterson draft board on my Substack at allandynasty.substack.com. Everybody everyone needs to memorize that. And I appreciate anybody who's come from the Substack to listen to the pod. But we'll talk about that. At least I think Bentley and I will. Maybe Sam will be there as well. We'll also do some interviews in the future with some of our newer players to kind of get their feel of what was the difficult part of learning how to play and stuff like that for new players out there who want to hear something like that. It could be interesting. But I appreciate Sam and Bentley. Thanks for coming. Thanks for your time. And I think this was a great show. And I'm going to trade with Bentley now after this because he feels left out. So
Don't do it.
I'll send it to you right after this.
Don't do it.
2 weeks from now, I will be holding up a bracket in my... Well, I don't have a printer at my house. 2 weeks from now, I will be looking at a bracket on my phone. So get excited for that.
Yep. The Duke conversation came out. We knew it would. It didn't
Well,
take long.
You said it, not me. I didn't. I just said a bracket, you know. There'll be a small little one next to them, and it'll say ACC champion and ACC tournament champion. And yeah, it just... stacking banner after banner. That's just kind of what we do. Except for national championships. I haven't won one of those in a decade.
Well, got a chance this year. I don't know if they're as good as they were last year.
They are not.
They got a chance like they always do.
It's really funny.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, it's really funny. Like, this year's rookie class is super loaded, but I don't feel as though there are any... I think there are probably like 3 or 4 college basketball teams last year that were better than all of the teams this year.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's probably true, even though the freshman class has been great statistically. But I do think that's a circumstance potentially of like tempo's increased over time, and so stats are up a little bit, but also just a very skilled class. But I agree, there were definitely... If we had the Houston team this year, I feel like we'd be so good. That team, I think, would be the best team in the country probably. But yeah. Sam, you got anything before we leave?
Nope. Thanks for having me. This was super fun. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Sam. Don't feel bad about your trade. It's going to work out for you. You'll be in the playoffs.
It sounded like you just gave me a compliment, but you were breaking up, so now I'm upset about it. I didn't get to hear it.
You're in the playoffs. That's what I said, so it worked out for you. All right.
You're probably going to be ahead of me in the playoffs because I'm going to lose this week.
Look at that.
Looking like a 2 or a 3 seed right now.
Heck yeah.
All right. That's it for us. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.